If you think about it, human beings have a strange and coordinated relationship with the concept of the deception. Apparently, in effect, we never want to be an object of it, and the idea of designing one generally does not make us comfortable with the perception we have of ourselves. But is it really so? In fact, think of historical theology in a way to pass time, or how many stories death is made fun to remove the fear of empathies, loneliness, and the unknown. Or again, how many times do we tell ourselves about the reality in a certain way to deceive ourselves a little to make it more sustainable, more forgiving? In that case, not only are we the object of the scam, but also in its architects. What is the extent to which striving to align reality with your truth was considered acceptable? But above all, if truth is a prism with 1,000 faces, why is choosing one that can put us in a disadvantageous position so deplorable? Is that it proposes that makes the work of the trickster more or less acceptable? Was Robin Hood a thief or a hero? Was Diego Maradona's hand a sly or a political act? Are the illustrations able to deceive us, or we are ones who want to deceive because, at least for a few moments, we want to believe that human beings can bend time, space, and reality? In short, it's easy to say that deception is a bad thing and the truth is something said in a store, because it's reality itself that constantly denies us. If what is at stake is not just money but the idea, cheating at the table where it puts on the moral spectrum, if deception becomes an art form, what should we do about it? I know we ask too much questions and given a few answers, but that's what happens after finishing the Card Shark. The adventure created by Neriel and Nikolai Troshinsky, publisher by Devolver Digital for the PC, Nintendo Switch, which is about 10 hours, makes us change perspective on everything as only a successful illusion. Once we sit down at the table with the intent of bending destiny on our side, it is impossible to go back. Not wanting more and not to sleep through the folds of truth is unforgettable adventure. On the other hand, who is that really wants stories without makeup and without the deceit? As I told you a few weeks ago, Card Shark tells the story of B peeking through the back door, overturning the table and suggesting that nothing reality nothing is exactly what we believe. In short, Neriel's game is a gigantic deception, and it could not be otherwise, since after 10 minutes he explains how the 3-card game on the dealer's side works. To deceive someone, I told you, one must not simply be smart and exploit the weakness of others, but on the contrary, the true illusion is based on the trust that the wife places in their own eyes and on the beliefs and will of those who are deceived. Yes, of course, you need a quick hand, a head, a beautiful truth pass, and also a good dose of coldness and accepting the risk, and yet in the end deceiving in effect of faith, the search for freedom. A roll of the dice against the faith and common sense capable of changing the course of history. So what better stage than pre-revolutionary France to investigate the faith and the memories of a cheater, immersed in the cult and administration for reason than thanks to the good salons of the Enlightenment, the French society of the 18th century found almost its natural expression in deception, between place intrigues, facade, well-being and a social structure that rode to all span towards the announced disaster. In this scenario, trying to change fate in favor becomes an existence that is admirable is difficult, especially if you were born on the wrong side of history. At that point, dying is not the worst possible horizon, and it is better, however, to present yourself to the other world with an ace up your sleeve. And this is how in the Card Shark we take the role of a young boy at in Nepal, a small village from the everything with our backs to the Pyrenees, mute since the birth, but quick of hands and head. The boy with no name, at least at the beginning, has the good fortune and misfortune on the meat on his way to the court of Saint Germain, and funny and eccentric squire with the vice of the game and too many stories to tell. Obviously the melting is not the most casual, because remember, nothing is what it seems, and it is the beginning of the journey to discover the true identity of the protagonist, of a court intrigue involving King Louis XV himself, and above all the fate of the France. King Louis, I mean the 15th. Yeah. There are premises for original and brilliant narrative adventures that stands at the crossroads of different genres. On the one hand, there is the French adventure novel by Alexandre Dumas. On the other, there is a classic period drama in a costume that he photographed and the era, its vices and virtues, and in the background there is a coming-of-age story that becomes more and more intense with the passing of hours. At the heart of it, however, as the narrative and the gameplay engine is the concept of deception and the art of cheating at the game table. The court of the Saint-Germain, in fact, has apparently very precise plan to solve the enigma of the intrigue of the 12 bottles of milk. A funny name that in reality leads us to the intriguing and sordid shores of the Iron Mask. And it comes down to a rise the ranks of high society based on earning trust, status and money and the green table. How? Taking advantage of the young boy's silence, his skills, and enchanting game of mirrors. All through the narration of the relationship with the French history are the main elements of the card shark. The core of the game is made up of refined and unique gameplay. On the board carriage, the protagonist and the court of the Saint-Germain wandered around the France in the search of information, with a squire in the flame-bound double who teaches his pupil a series of tricks to get the best of those who play at the table. Out of greed, boredom, a sense of risk or pure passion. There are 28 tricks of the trade that we learn during the adventure in Philologically Sensible, which are explained to us detailed and simulated through a series of the minigames, who test the same skills required to manipulate boulders and by staying gaze. To solve each card shark test, in fact, you need to perform a series of precise movements with the controller that simulate real prestige number typical of the character. Stack the cards, mark them, order them, mix or pretend the desk, pick the hand of the opponent and to score seats and values for the one's accomplice. All is done through rapid game sequences based off timing, speed, glance, and memory, in the attempt to make no mistake as the relentless bar of suspicious advantage. The mix made of QTE sequences stolen from the RIM games and more feverish moments in which our ability to read the information on the screen makes the difference, and perfectly conveys the idea of the skill necessary to direct destiny one of the side. The goal is only one, to get out of 2 or more hands uncast, possibly with more money, more information, and without getting caught. In the game event that things go wrong, we have a second chance as long as we even cheat that itself. Important detail, do not think that the fact of privileging the narration makes the card shark a simple game. On the contrary, to complete some levels, you really need a cool head and improved eye-hand coordination skills. The adventure of the Near Isle essentially is all here, but obviously in a game of deceptions and continuous reveals it also many other things. So, the verdict. Between court intrigues, deceptions, and the sleight of hand, card shark tells an era through a story, which, like the truth, is a prism well-defined faces capable of reflecting light in a iridescent way. The new game from the Near Isle and the Devolver Digital is the graphic adventure, a card game, a travel story, a demo-style swashbuckling adventure, and a beautiful way to put the history of the France in the 1700s into play. The result is magnificent deception where nothing is as seems, thanks to a precise and particular gameplay, which always pushes on the accelerator, avoiding any repetitive at the cost of being sometimes complicated. Once the hand is made and the philosophy of the professional cheater is apparent, however, the card shark is a fantastic carriage ride that tells of the eternal struggle of human beings against the destiny, of how reliable the truth and now how deception all the times is the way only to propose the freedom. Fun to play and gorgeous to see and to hear, Card Shark is bidding to be one of the hottest titles of the year and ready to trick you into stealing your heart in a hand of the poker. If I really have to find a fault with it, once the story was over, it would have been fun to have a change mode where you can test all the tricks you have learned. Card Shark is running to be one of the hottest titles of the year, and it's ready to deceive you by stealing your heart in a hand of the poker. If I really have to find a fault with it, once the story was over, it would have been fun to have a challenge mode where you can test all the tricks you have learned. Card Shark is running to be one of the hottest titles of the year, and it's ready to deceive you by stealing your heart in the hand of the poker. If I really have to find a wall with it, once the story was over, it would have been fun to have a challenge mode where you can test all the tricks you have learned. So, thanks. Have a good one. Bye bye.